Welcome back to Beer Fuel Fantasy Football, everybody. Whether you're an old or new listener, we welcome you to the show. We are on Fridays now, so hopefully you are getting a chance to tune in here. Thank you so much for joining us. I am at Nick Sparts, joined by Christopher Hopper to my left.
At Hot BFF with 2 Ps. How's it going, everybody? And some sad news to start off. We are not joined by the Ray BFF.
We have no Dan.
There is no Dan. Okay, I'm cutting that, though, because we got a better replacement.
We did bring in, and I should have asked how to pronounce the last name before I got her on, Kacey Kasem?
Yeah, like Kacey Kasem, like, the top 40 guy.
Yeah, the top 40 guy.
Okay.
Because that's obviously not my real last name.
Oh.
Okay.
That's a little secret for you guys.
Oh, cool. Little secret for our listeners. We're dropping bombs already. We're 5 minutes in.
All right. Well, she's at the Kacey Kasem on Twitter, Kasem, writer for Fighting Chance Fantasy.
Kacey.
Yes, Kacey. And she's a drinker of wine, collector of fantasy football t-shirts, and apparently a freestyle rapper, though I did not get proof of this at NFFC.
We got the other two things, though.
We did the other two things, yes. Well, thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to shout out that you're working on at the moment?
Not in particular. Just started writing over at Fighting Chance Fantasy, so I haven't put out too much. I put out an article a couple days ago. I put out an article about Cole Beasley, and that's about it.
Keeping the Cowboys focus going.
Yeah, I got to do it. I got to have something to be happy about.
What are you thinking for Beasley this year without giving away too much? Because I just drafted him earlier today.
I mean, Dak's saying that's his go-to guy, right? So I'm looking for him to at least repeat what he did 2 years ago. So hopefully he can get back to that.
Beautiful. And drop another rap album.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, it was pretty decent, I guess. So,
It was pretty good.
Why not? Why not?
All right. And a reminder, so thank you so much for jumping on, Kacey. We are going to quick run through our social media real quick as well. We are Beer Fueled FF, where you can find us there on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped, where we're dropping can art, beer reviews, and then all the content we're producing. I just sent out on Wednesday our consensus rankings. I'm going to try to pin those to all our YouTube videos as well. So if you want to follow us on YouTube, go to Beer Fueled Fantasy Football. That's also where you can find us on Facebook. Anything we got to announce at the moment? I think we're in the clear.
No, I think we're in the clear also. Just be aware we are on Fridays now, which this is a Friday episode. So we're also here Monday, Wednesdays.
Yes. If you're listening to this after the fact, it came out Friday.
Yes.
So I think that's all we got. So in this episode, we're going to go ahead and get you news, go ahead and cover 5 more preseason games and let you know all the players that we saw that were interesting in those. And then we're going to play a little game where these two are going to draft strictly on clues for each player and kind of a dating style game.
Yeah. Also from week 1, we are not watching the Thursday preseason games before they happen.
Yes, that would be a nice trick. I don't have that ability.
We're wrapping up week 1, so just set expectations accordingly.
All right. Before we get all to that first, we got to first do a beer preview. Beer Fuel. And since we're having Kacey on, let's crack out a Dallas beer that I brought back from NFFC. And this is Mosaic IPA India Pale Ale from Community Beer Co. I didn't know if I saw it on tap anywhere down there, but I grabbed 2 6-packs of it, and I've already finished one of them, brought one here for the show. It's their first time on the show, based out of Dallas, Texas, as I mentioned. It's an 8.6 ABV IPA, clocks in at 85 IBU, and it's heavily featured Mosaic hops, hence the name. Drop a full review for you once we get through all the preseason shenanigans.
Kacey, I saw you got a glass of something. What you drinking?
Pinot Grigio.
Oh,
sorry, guys, no beer.
There you go. we called you a wine drinker on the intro, so there you go.
There you go.
We definitely do not hate on any other types of alcohol. We're just beer focused.
What winery?
Oh, it's out of a box. I don't know.
Yes.
But it's like the classy stuff that you get at
probably like Black Box or something.
News.
It's that time of year where if we take more than 2 days to record an episode, the news just starts to pile up on us. So let's run through this real quick. First up, Sam Darnold is going to start the second preseason game Thursday night. This would have already happened by the time the podcast released, but it's kind of big news that he will be running with the starters tonight.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on as they look to figure out if it's going to be him or McCown leading the charge. But it looks like if he can show well enough, they're going to trust him to do it. So definitely notable. Not a big fan of rookie quarterbacks and one quarterback redraft, but dynasty, sure. 2 quarterback, absolutely.
Anything you want to add, Kacey?
Anything that I want to add? Well, I mean, yeah, I'm more redraft than I am dynasty. I just started dynasty this year, but I don't have any rookies on my team, quarterback wise. Yeah, but I wouldn't touch them in a one quarterback league. No,
It's the right call.
I mean, obviously, I mean, there's going to be plenty of guys out there.
Speaking of people we're not touching in a one quarterback league,
Eagles signed quarterback Christian Hackenberg.
or dynasty, or any other form of league.
Are you sure?
Ever. If it's a league that rewards not starting, not playing, and getting cut before the season goes, or at least after Carson Wentz gets back, sure.
Yeah, the only reason I made note of it is currently Foles and Wentz are not practicing or playing, so this is just a camp body to bring in, but it's something to keep an eye on.
Somebody to back up Nate Sudfeld.
Yeah, it may come to that if these two guys can't get healthy, and I'm starting to get close enough to the regular season where I'm starting to get a little nervous about that.
Yikes.
NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports Rashad Penny will undergo surgery for his broken finger and will be out 3 to 4 weeks. He may miss the first game or two.
Yeah. Chris Carson's getting all the hype. I'll talk more about that running back battle later on when we get back into the game reviews, but I'm not a Rashad Penny fan, so I mean, it sucks that anybody gets hurt, but he didn't necessarily look great either, so.
Sorry for anybody who drafted him in the 4th round in an early draft.
Shouldn't have done that.
All right. Delicia Corden, the ex-girlfriend of LaShawn McCoy, filed a personal injury lawsuit against him Monday. There was other people named in the suit, but he is involved.
The eviction case also settled this week.
Did she get evicted? Or?
She got evicted.
All right, finally.
She had already not been living there, apparently, but it's a civil case, so
Yes.
nothing criminal there.
Isaiah Crowell will sit out the second preseason game with his concussion.
He won't realize he's sitting at the second preseason game.
He's been saying nothing but caw and getting people really hyped to draft him.
Yeah. I'm not, probably more precautionary than anything. I haven't heard about him clearing protocol, though.
Nope. I'd expect he probably clears it by this time next week when we're dropping our next Friday episode.
No doubt.
Rex Burkhead is undisclosed with an injury, but will not play Thursday against the Eagles. He also did not play in Game 1 and has not been practicing.
Jeremy Hill and James White.
We're going to see a lot of Jeremy Hill in the game that's actually going to be kicking off here during this recording.
If he continues to look good, he could start being worth that end of your draft, bro. Yeah, Michelle dealing with a knee injury, Burkhead dealing with an undisclosed injury. Gillislee, we know, is just not effective. So, I mean, it's Jeremy Hill and James White, and they complement each other. So,
and Hill, we've seen him score plenty of touchdowns, so I'm not concerned about him being able to do that.
It's how efficient he's going to be between the tackles.
Mm-hmm. Bucks coach Dirk Cutter says Peyton Barber is our starter.
Yeah, and
just that the coach is on record saying it.
I mean, doesn't mean anything. I mean, it kind of does. It means he'll be in for the first snap of a game. It's probably going to be a committee. I don't know, though. I didn't watch the Bucks game. Heard Rojo didn't look great. So
Rojo did not look good.
Yeah, I heard that too.
But
I also heard that that quote was kind of taken out of context.
Do you know,
I don't know.
What was it? Do you have the context?
It was
handy,
something like
paraphrase?
he said that he's the starter for the time being or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I do remember seeing that. Yes.
So
But
significantly less.
He put conditions on it.
Oh.
It didn't sound like he was happy about it. I do remember reading that now.
Come on, Roto World, expand the quote next time then. All right, 49ers sign running back Alfred Morris.
And Twitter freaked out.
Way too much. Way too much.
Yeah, they did. It's your boy, I know, Cowboys fan. It's a camp body right now. I mean, he definitely is talented enough to where you could make the roster, especially if some of these injuries don't clear up. But with Burita and McKinnon hurt.
Yeah, if he starts pushing for the running back 2 or 3, that's when it starts to become interesting. But he's still got to beat out Williams, who apparently isn't doing anything, and McNichols, who actually is doing stuff.
Williams could end up being the cut.
I think Williams is the cut.
I got both those guys for $1 in Dynasty off waivers just in case. So
yeah.
Colts signed running back Brandon Oliver, formerly of the Chargers, who immediately hurt himself.
Did he?
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's nothing new for him.
Yeah, he went down with an injury the day he got to camp. NFL.com's Ian Rappaport reports Alshon Jeffrey, with his rotator cuff surgery, could begin the season on the reserve PUP list, which could cost him 6 games. Since this report came out, there have been conflicting reports saying that this is not true.
I mean, rotator cuff surgery, especially with the Super Bowl run, it could keep him out the first couple of games. He may not start on the PUP, but he may not be 100%. And you've got Nelson Aguilar is also dealing with his own injuries. So this deep Philly offense could suddenly be thinning out. you could be relying on Mike Wallace as the wide receiver 1 if neither of these guys can get healthy.
Yeah, that absolutely could be true. I think what happens, they probably go to 2 tight end sets and run Ertz Goddard out there.
I think they do too, but you still gotta have wide receivers on the field.
All right. Devontae Parker continuing to dig his own grave here. Is out with a broken finger and questionable for week 1.
As I said on Twitter, it's not gonna hurt his hands any.
That's great.
All right. Cleveland Plain Dealer reports the Browns still expect Josh Gordon to return for the 2018 season, possibly by week 1.
Well, no pun intended, and I guess it's the wrong drug, but that would really put him behind the 8 ball here. You kind of need it, and it's a new offense, first off, with Todd Haley, and he's got to be there to learn it. And if he's not getting training camp reps, he's not getting into preseason games, he's not getting a report with his new quarterback, so he's not draftable at this point to me.
Yeah, he's slid down. I mean, he's down about 10th, 11th round for me, and he's just about to fall off my board completely if he doesn't report by next week.
And they're bringing in Des Bryant, and honestly, after they traded Corey Coleman and Antonio Callaway went and shot himself in the foot, not, figuratively, he didn't Plaxico himself. Des could be very relevant.
Yeah. Des could be their main outside red zone target for sure.
Landry's got to be sliding up, though.
Yeah, I'll bump him up slightly. He's my wide receiver 24 now. By my next time I redo rankings, if no Gordon reports, I'll probably bump him up a little bit, and I'll bump Njoku up slightly. Speaking of that, Des Bryant is visiting the Browns on Thursday with his agent, and they are talking a 1-year deal.
Jump the gun on that one.
I tried to pair them together. So, any thoughts on from Dallas Central on Des signing with the Browns?
Like a couple of days ago, I was like, all right, he's going to sign with the Browns, and I still feel that way. I know that there's other options. Well, supposedly there's other options. I really haven't heard any of those other options that he's talking about how he's going to start his meetings with Cleveland. I don't know. You see that picture where he's signing a Browns helmet right now and stuff in the airport. So, I mean, I can see it happening. He seems like he likes Cleveland, so we'll see what goes on.
I saw another sleeper bot report earlier today too that he wanted a 1-year prove-it deal, which would be perfect for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean he's basically got one shot at getting a decent contract here because he's going to be 30 next year. So this is kind of it.
Yeah, and I like to see him go somewhere with a veteran quarterback that can handle him, but
Tyrod?
I think Tyrod will have to keep him in check.
Yeah, I really wanted him to end up in Seattle or Green Bay or New England, but that's apparently not going to happen.
Yeah. New England would probably be about ideal.
Yeah, especially with all the wide receivers they're washing out right now.
Instantly be the one.
All right, Delaney Walker's being evaluated after suffering a quote-unquote lower body injury. I didn't know he switched to the NHL here in Thursday's practice. It's being reported as a toe injury by beat reporters, and the long-term prognosis is currently unknown at this time. He's played through foot stuff before, but it's not ideal for him to be dealing with if it's a lingering toe issue.
And I really hope it's not, because I've got some Delaney Walker shares in leagues that I've already drafted. But start gassing up Jonnu Smith, because he's a very formidable replacement.
All right, and then one last note here, and this is just kind of in the sad category. Bud Light is pushing special fridges full of Bud Light in bars and Cleveland for when they win their first regular season game.
Let's go. Let's go to Cleveland.
Yes, let's go get Bud Light for them winning a regular season game, which is just their job. That's what they're supposed to do, is win regular season games.
I need the Bears to go winless for a little bit here so that I can...
You'll have to go up to Chicago for it.
I love Chicago. That's not an issue for me.
You're not going to convert if you move to St. Louis.
No, I'm not.
So this just kind of felt kind of sad to me, though, that they're going to celebrate them winning their first game.
What am I going to convert to? Am I going to be a Rams fan?
Sure.
Too soon?
Chiefs.
Gross.
All right. That's all we got for news. Let's go ahead and hit 5 game recaps we got to finish off week 1.
What the hell happened?
All right. We were nice enough not to make Kacey sit through 5 preseason games, so she will not be running through any of these overviews.
She's gonna play the peanut gallery. If she's got questions, she's gonna throw them out.
She'll just chime in rapid fire style. All right, I'm gonna kick us off here. Texans at the Chiefs. Texans win this one 17-10. On the Texans side, Jordan Akins grabbed 2 touchdowns, getting snaps in the middle of the first quarter. So he's running with with the start of the second team. The only tight end that saw any snaps in front of him was Ryan Griffin. So Akins has already passed Steven Anderson on the depth chart, it seems, and profiled pretty well in the red zone. So saw some good stuff out of him. If you're looking in a deeper tight end premium dynasty league, he's already worth a stash, and he's definitely a name to keep an eye on.
He flashed a little bit on his tape also, and it's only a matter of time before. Never mind. I'm not going to. I've made one concussion joke. We met our quota.
Yeah, that's enough for 1 week. As I mentioned, Steven Anderson is buried. He didn't even play until late in the third quarter. So if you're drafting Steven Anderson, you're going to be real sorry.
Like D.D. Westbrook buried, or?
Yeah, 6 feet under style.
Yes.
Alfred Blue saw significant snaps after the starters were done on the early first. He did absolutely nothing with them. He had a drop on an easy pass and multiple negative runs.
It's Alfred Blue.
So
I'm not surprised. Foreman's still the backup whenever he can get himself healthy, but I don't expect that to be till November. So more of a reason for Lamar Miller to be drafted, even though he's going to be inefficient. He'll have volume, and volume matters.
All right. Bruce Ellington was the most impressive of the wide receivers who saw significant snaps. He was heavily targeted and did quite a bit with them. I think I saw 5 catches total that I tracked.
That is relevant, actually, because they do need a 2 outside of Hopkins.
Yes, you're a firm not Will Fuller believer.
That is me throwing shade at Will Fuller.
And then last note I got is Tremaine Pope played well in the second half. He was getting work primarily as a pass-catching back, made very nice plays in space. I could see him being worth something if either they decide Blue's not worth giving touches to, or they maybe want to spell Miller in passing situations.
He could surpass Blue if he keeps showing up.
All right, on to the Chiefs. Mahomes saw 2 drives. He was heavily targeting Kelsey, 3 targets total to him. He took 1 bad sack he should have avoided, but other than that, we saw the live arm. He overthrew Kelsey once, which was impressive. Overall, looked decently comfortable, but still knocking the rust off and kind of getting into NFL speed as a rookie or as a second-year player here. Everything else I have is basically on the running backs. Damian Williams was the second back in with we're not playing this week. He looked very mundane. Exactly what we saw to Miami, where he's competent but not good.
No Charizard?
No Charkandrick West in this one.
Huh.
Demarcus Robinson came in the second quarter, made multiple nice plays, including a 30-yard back shoulder catch.
Keep an eye on him also, because they need a slot receiver, really.
He would be a giant slot receiver.
I mean, he would be, but I mean, we'll get to it later. But Denver was running Sanders and Sutton out of the slot, so I mean, there you go. He did flash a lot though last year.
Yeah, he did. Especially when there was just no number 2 besides Hill.
Right. I mean, Hill could be the slot receiver, and they put Robinson outside. They need a third receiver, is what I'm getting at.
Indeed. Kerwin Williams was the third back in. He looked significantly more dynamic than Damian Williams did. Just overall was flashing significantly more big playability. Had a couple runs for 8-10 yards. And then lastly was Darrell Williams. Yes, they have 3 running backs named Williams. It was super annoying.
So did TJ Logan show up? Where's he at?
Arizona?
Oh, wrong red team.
He came late in the third.
Kerwin Williams, that's what threw me off.
He showed decent downhill running. We saw the strength that we saw on his college tape where he's just running guys over. But he did fail to convert 2 goal line attempts, which is a bad thing. He did have some pass catching chops too. So in terms of what I saw on tape, Kerwin was the best, then Darrell, then Damian.
Kerwin Williams is what threw me off there.
Yes. Ex-Cardinal.
Williams.
Yeah,
we did a live draft a couple weeks ago, and I swear there was a whole page of just Williams stickers.
That's not surprising.
I should just draft a team full of Williams.
Nothing but Williams.
Sadly, though, I think Tyrell would be the best one.
Tyrell or Mike, both on the Chargers. Yeah. You'd have no quarterback.
No quarterback.
All right. You're up, Hopper. Colts at the Seahawks. Colts win this one 19-17.
All right. Starting with the Colts, Eric Ebron did not play in this one. Marlon Mack, first off, he looked like the real deal. He showed excellent burst. He ran tough, ran some guys over, had the speed to get to the outside, was good between the tackles. And it was after one of those impressive runs where he hurt his hamstring. So if he can get healthy, I've been kind of notoriously a little bit lower on Mac than my 2 co-hosts, but if he keeps playing like that and can get himself healthy, then he's going to make a believer out of me as a potential 3-down back. Sorry, I'm gassy. And then anything on Marlon Mack? Anything to add? No.
I mean, I'm a little worried about the hamstring. That's a soft tissue issue, and those can linger.
And he fought those last year too, so that does concern me.
So I want some positive camp reports before I get real hyped about him again.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear he was running well because I think he is the most talented back in this backfield.
I think so too, and I think Jordan Wilkins looked like the second best. I know that there's been some hype about Christine Michael again, getting touches with the first team, and then Robert Turbin being there, and we've seen what Michael can do sometimes, but Wilkins looked like the second best back to me. He was just doing what he was supposed to do and doing exactly what he did in college. He was finding ways through the line to chunk out 4 or 5 yards at a time. Moving on, the wide receiver battle, Chester Rogers, Ryan Grant, they ran as the 2 and the 3. No one did a thing to really stand out from the other one. No wide receiver really jumped out here. Even Deion Kane flashed a little bit before he tore his ACL, but nobody else really flashed outside of T.Y. Hilton, who doesn't need to flash. Jack Doyle and Luck showed good rapport. Doyle was the exclusive tight end one. There was also a report from training camp the other day that he got 11 targets to Ebron's 5 during 11-on-11s. So,
that one surprised me though, just because Doyle tends to run the more short stuff. For Ebron's probably going to be more big play.
Well, and that's about the split that I said that it, probably would be. I don't have a calculator in front of me to know what percentage of 16-5 is, but bit of math whiz.
That's 80 targets.
Yeah, it's about right. And then
I don't think Doyle's seeing 176 though.
I don't either. But it's just something. If he does,
that'd be your tight end one.
There you go.
Andrew Luck, though, he looked accurate on the money with his throws. The O-line looked like they held up well, kept him relatively clean, and he looked like Andrew Luck, so that's good news. Anything else on the Colts? Questions, comments, concerns, ideas?
I'm sad.
I'm just glad you broke it down like that because I didn't know. I've been real down on Andrew Luck, so it's good to hear that he looked pretty good.
Yeah, he played the first quarter and he looked like him. I mean, he didn't really take off on any runs. He did take a hit, but the arm looked good.
He took a hit, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like everything's full steam ahead for Luck. I think the only concern I have for me at this point is just his weapons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Somebody needs to emerge as a secondary wide receiver option outside of Ty.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to the Seahawks. Doug Baldwin didn't play with injury. Didn't see Ed Dixon. It doesn't mean he wasn't out there. He just might have not been noticeable. I'm not sure.
He was hiding between the hedges.
He was hiding. Jerron Brown worked with the top team in Baldwin's absence. Wide receivers were largely unnoticed outside of one nice Tyler Lockett catch, and that was for the majority of the game from what I saw. No wide receiver really. Damari Stringfellow had a couple decent catches, but I don't expect him to be anything.
It even makes the team.
Yeah, and there's really no Darboh sighting. McAvoy didn't really flash anything. Marshall was on the field. That's about all I have to say about him. Nick Vannett, though, however, keep that hype train rolling because he did flash. He snagged a touchdown pass. He was targeted several times on the one Russell Wilson drive before the starters came out. He did run exclusively with the starting offense before he was removed. So full steam ahead on that hype train.
Yeah, I saw you bumped him up to your tight end 15.
I did.
Wow.
I mean, you're getting targeted on an offense that has traditionally targeted tight ends up until last year that has a void of wide receiver targets. Absolutely. And then Chris Carson was far and away the best running back. The hype translated over to the game. He was chunking off yards fast enough to get outside, showed good hands. Rashad Penny is broken now. He did have one nice run, but generally it looked like crap. He was doing the same things we saw in college. If there wasn't, they got him outside and he was fine, but trying to go between the tackles, he was just stood up because that offensive line isn't good enough to make holes.
Yeah, and Twitter was hyping up his one good run. Like they were hyping the hell out of it.
Yeah, it was one good. He had one good catch and then he had one carry that went outside into the secondary. But hype up the one good run against a Colts third string defense.
Yeah.
Keep going. Because he was the third back on the field. Mike Davis ran ahead of him.
Oh, that is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume Penny was second. That's good to know that he was not.
Yeah, I guess I should have mentioned that earlier. Yeah, Mike Davis ran ahead of him.
And then Procise didn't play, right?
No Procise, no. McKissick took return duties and then some passing work later on.
All right. Moving on to Falcons at the Jets. Jets won this one 17-0, and all the points were in the first half. So, yes, this was as bad to watch as it sounds like. Starting with the Falcons, they could not stop committing penalties. 10 penalties on the offense in this game. I started counting because I got so frustrated with them.
Is there a way I can blame that on Steve Sarkisian?
Probably.
Okay.
Team discipline for the offensive coordinator not enforcing it. Ito Smith was terrible. His first play, he caught it lowering the helmet on a block. Then a negative rushing play, and then finished with a negative reception, and then he was off the field.
Well, just keep an eye on
Wow.
him. Yeah, just keep an eye on him. I've mentioned it with rookie running backs. The same thing goes for Penny also. All of them have looked a little bit hesitant or a little bit out of place, so I'm interested to see how they progress for the preseason because this is a class that should have a lot of talent in it.
Yeah, the only three who have really flashed their first game is Barkley, Freeman, and Johnson, right?
Guys
before he tore his ACL,
and
so he kind of gets a red shirt.
Wilkins was as advertised.
Austin Hooper had one nice tough catch late in the first quarter before they pulled the starters. Kurt Benkirk came out and was very impressive. He definitely outplayed Matt Schaub. Displayed some serious arm talent. Was a little too much throwing off his back foot, but he did that in college, so not much has changed. He was actually moving the offense up and down the field, and he actually was able to take a shot or two into the end zone. They just couldn't convert, and then they went for it on fourth down and didn't convert.
Benkirk was a guy we weren't high on, but we were definitely lukewarm on him in the good sense that it wasn't, room temperature or cold. So
yeah, we didn't have him anywhere near like the top 5, but I had him kind of in that next tier down with like Mike White and stuff.
Throwing a bone to Dallas here. This is a situation though that could be like Cooper Rush was last year. Just comes in, plays well, unseats a veteran backup.
Yeah, he looked way better than Matt Schaub. He could be the number 2 there by the time we finish here. And then the third back in after Coleman and Ito was Justin Crawford. He actually showed solid north-south running, solid receiver out of the backfield. Doesn't look like a dynamic athlete, but that's exactly what we saw on film for him. He's a very patient, kind of pick-your-hole type runner, and he'll get downfield, but he's not going to blow you away with any athleticism.
All right.
Moving on
I didn't like him anyway, so...
Moving on to the Jets, Teddy Bridgewater absolutely shredded the Falcons secondary on his snaps. He was stepping up into the pocket. He was hitting players consistently over the middle of the field. I'd like to see him throw it more outside, but that's kind of been my Teddy Bridgewater complaint since he got into the league, so I'm not expecting that to change anytime soon.
Just keep an eye on the quarterback battle, too, because if Sam Darnold comes out and struggles and Teddy keeps playing well, he could end up starting. I mean, all three guys are probably capable of starting for different reasons.
They're all pretty close in how I view them, their outlook for 2018. Darnold was a bit of a mixed bag. A few passes were awkward, but he did a great job of evading pressure, stepping up into the pocket, hitting guys in space. He technically threw 3 touchdowns on one drive. There was a drop and a penalty that prevented the first 2. All were to Charles Johnson.
Never mind. I'm not going to argue with the semantics of the word technically. Technically, he threw 1 touchdown. He should. Figuratively, he threw 3.
Fine. Figuratively, he threw 3. Bilal Powell was the first back out. He looked very comfortable. A few of his carries were a bit indecisive. He was much better catching passes than running, but that's been Bilal Powell for years now. Crowell had 2 average carries, caught a pass over the middle that he took for a touchdown and decided to score it by throwing his helmet into 3 defenders. He did show good power on the play, but gave himself a concussion in the process, which is no bueno. And then Trenton Cannon, who's been getting some hype, was the third back in. He had multiple negative plays and then muffed 2 punts.
So you could say he wasn't explosive.
He imploded himself.
Didn't run like he was shot out of a cannon.
He did not. The cannon blew itself up.
Humpty Dumpty?
Humpty Dumpty
Wasn't
style.
Humpty Dumpty a cannon?
No, he was an egg.
No, I think he was legitimately a cannon. Like, nowhere does it ever say Humpty Dumpty was an egg.
Okay.
Like, if you look up the origins of that nursery rhyme, I think it was about a cannon.
All right.
I study nursery rhymes in my free time.
I will take your word for it, expert on nursery rhymes.
Somebody Wikipedia that. I think we need a producer. Damn it.
Yeah, you pay for the producer.
We need a volunteer producer.
Isn't that live studio audience?
She's reading a book somehow.
Right. Vikings at the Broncos. Vikings win this one 42-28.
All right, this is mine. All right, starting with the Vikings. Dalvin Cook did not play, as did most, across the league, most people with torn ACLs didn't play, or previously torn ACLs. Start with Latavius Murray, though. He did play. He looked faster. He looked good getting to the edge. Showed power. He looked more agile. He really showed why he may demand some touches, and the Dalvin Cook hype may have to take a small tick back because he was chunking off 10 yards at a time. Like, he looked fantastic, did Latavius Murray. And if they're going to keep both backs fresh, if they got 2 that they can keep rotating out there, so keep an eye on that. Could also make Murray draft relevant. Stephon Diggs is good at football. He looked absolutely fantastic. He showed why there's always hype around him. The issue's never been talent. It's been staying healthy. Their new kicker, Carlson, good from 57, easily.
Yeah, I heard he looked great.
He's got a huge leg, and if he doesn't get into like inside of his head like Aguayo, he's got a Justin Tucker level leg. So that's something to keep an eye on. I'm not going to say reach for a kicker, but if you're looking for a second to last round kicker, going to be a guy not a lot of people have heard of. So, that's the one thing that does get you points from kickers is big field goals. And he kicks indoors for home games, and it's a situation where it should be a decently good offense to score points on. Yep. So just keep an eye on that. There's your kicker analysis for the year. Kyle Sloter looked a lot better than Trevor Siemian did for the backup job. Siemian looked very decidedly mediocre.
So he looks like Trevor Siemian?
Yes. And then for the third running back job, Mike Boone, Rock Thomas. I thought Rock Thomas looked like the better of the two. That's not to say Boone looked bad, but Thomas really flashed. He looked fast. He showed he can stick in the NFL. He showed agility. He showed the ability to run through people, showed hands. He looked a lot better in this game than his college tape did, even to me.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember, and we've touched on this when we did our rookie running back previews. He's a former 5-star recruit. He was at a small school. He didn't dominate the competition as much as we want, but the talent is definitely there when he was coming out of high school. So it could translate to the NFL. If you're in any sort of medium-sized dynasty league where you're probably 25-plus roster spots, 12-team type league, he's definitely a waiver wire ad that you might want to grab and sit on and see if something's there.
Yep. All right, and that's all I got on the Vikings. Anything else there?
No, your Broncos notes are a little strange, but I'll let you proceed with them.
All right, starting off, Chad Kelly is the truth. The stadium was chanting his name. He was throwing touchdown passes, dropping dimes, shooting bullets, figuratively.
Throwing a really bad pick.
Not literally. Yeah, the pick was bad. He slid out to evade pressure and just threw it into coverage, but it was his first NFL action. You got to, he did not play in the preseason last year. Mm-hmm. Is Mr. Irrelevant. So, already outperformed expectations.
Did he Brett Favre to throw it across his body?
No, he actually he didn't go across his body. He rolled out to the right as a right-hander, so he didn't have to throw back across his body or anything like that. He squared up to it. He just didn't see the defender, and he just threw it into tight coverage.
Got it.
That was really the only bad throw he made. He should have actually had a second touchdown pass that got dropped in the end zone. So he's been slid up to the second string. Just keep an eye on him, especially if Keenum struggles, because I really do believe in the talent of Chad Kelly. And we joke about it. We joke about the AK-47 stuff. It's a fun narrative, but he had the talent. It was the off-field stuff that's the reason he got drafted at the end of the 7th round. And if Case Keenum struggles like he did in Houston and proves that he was a system quarterback and Chad Kelly continues to show out, Broncos come out, lose 4 or 5 games, he could be starting.
Yeah, and the weapons are there that even if he's just competent, he's viable.
Yes. On to the running backs. Royce Freeman, he showed everything that I liked about him in college. He showed good footwork. He showed good vision. He showed that smooth running style to get to the hole, pick up yardage. On the flip side, Devontae Booker ran into the back of the line a couple times, and that was about all he did. So, they can say Booker's the starter, but Freeman's definitely the more talented of the two. He showed it. The footwork was smooth. I mean, he looks like... He reminds me as a Bears fan of Matt Forte with the smooth cuts and the hands and the bigger backs.
And he's
everything.
Bigger.
Yeah, and he's bigger. But some Le'Veon Bell to his game also, which is a more extreme comparison. But Joe Mixon's another good comp with the, not obviously the NFL success hasn't been there yet for Mixon because of the line, but just the smooth cuts and stuff. If you like Mixon in college, he's another player that reminded me of Forte. Just the way they get to the line, they see the hole, and then they make a really smooth cut to it. The footwork's really good.
Yeah, my only complaint on Freeman is going to be that he's not nearly as dynamic a pass catcher as Bell and Mixon, but otherwise the running style is very similar.
Yeah, and he showed that he could be, though. I mean, we've talked about the receiving yards and the receptions. I won't drop that stat nugget again. And then I already talked about Booker. Paxton Lynch, not the truth, not good at football. The only other note that I had on this game is just of the wide receivers, the way that they were configured. Emmanuel Sanders was running out of the slot on the 2 drives that the starting offense was in. with Sutton and Thomas running outside.
That makes me excited.
So, yeah, there's weapons.
All right.
Not talking about AK-47's trunk.
Now, if only if Jake Butt can take off here as a tight end, they have a pretty scary offense all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
tight ends really didn't flash at all. So,
All right. Moving on to Chargers at the Cardinals. Cardinals win this one 24-17. For the Chargers, backup quarterbacks are all a mess. Cardale Jones was constantly trying to run, not really doing a great job with it. Geno Smith was terribly inaccurate and couldn't sense pressure to save his life. And Nick Shimanek just needs a lot of work. He's got a live arm, but he's inaccurate, made really poor decisions. Footwork was a mess. So a lot of what we saw at Texas Tech. He was trying to win the game with his arm, and it wasn't happening.
I'm not surprised.
Melvin Gordon looked very mundane, exactly like he's kind of looked the last couple of years. It was mostly 2-3 yard type runs. Basically, unless he gets volume, that will be the only way. If he loses the volume for any reason, that'll hurt him fantasy-wise in a terrible, terrible way.
Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't get volume, though.
So, and then on that similar note, Austin Eckler showed very similar dynamic playmaking to what we saw from as a rookie. His first carry went for 20 yards, and then a few drives later, he took a short pass for a 35-yard gain. Of the running backs, he was the most impressive. He is a smaller back, so I don't expect him to take a ton of work from Gordon, but he should be in line for a similar workload to what he saw last year, if not maybe even a little more.
I was going to say more towards what you saw the end of last year for the split here.
Running back 3 battles between Russell Hansborough, Detrez Newsome, and Justin Jackson, who didn't play this game. Hansborough looked okay. He had a terrible fumble, though. Newsome, on the other hand, was an explosive playmaker. He had 2 good touchdown runs, one of which was called back by a penalty, but they were both 10-plus yards, where he just blew through a hole and was gone. So keep an eye on Newsome. I kind of liked what I saw.
Gotcha.
Especially for a name I'd never even heard before.
Nope.
Receivers were very quiet. The only 2 that I spotted anything that I was interested in. Artavis Scott had 2 nice catches, and then he did great work as a punt and kick returner. So if you're in a return yardage league, might be something interesting. Plus, it's going to get him onto the team.
Out of Clemson, I think.
Out of Clemson. He was with Mike Williams in that same class.
Yes.
And then Jeremy Davis, his first target, he tipped up into the air and was picked. But then after that, he basically was on fire. He had a 35-yard touchdown catch on a 50-50 ball, and then he had 3 other deep targets that he was able to pull in.
I don't like him. Spelling of his name bothers me.
It bothered me, too. I was staring at it for about 5 minutes, figuring out how to pronounce it.
It's Jeremy with a G.
Wow.
Right.
Oh.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy?
Any other questions on the Chargers?
No, I just hope I never have to say that guy's name again. Or
No.
see his name again.
We'll see.
Doggo.
On to the Cardinals for the last team we're going to cover for week 1. David Johnson had 2 carries, but they were both explosive 14-yard runs. He looked exactly as good as he did in 2016. He was awesome.
Explosive runs sounds like what I get after eating Taco Bell. Go
Are you just
on.
going to start calling him David Johnson's now?
Yes. Yes. Diarrhea is now called David Johnson's because they're explosive runs. Got it.
All right. Chase Edmonds also ran with the first team after Johnson had his first 2 plays finished. Scored a questionable touchdown that couldn't be overturned on replay. It basically was him crawling to the end zone, but there was constantly players in front of his knee on camera, so they couldn't get an angle on it.
That's one way to do it.
So they called it a touchdown on the field, and then it stood.
Fake it till you make it, right?
Yep. He didn't have a ton of playmaking ability, but it was almost always positive plays. He had 8 touches total, and only 1 was a negative play.
Fake it till you make it.
Josh Rosen came in with the 2s. Basically exactly what we saw in college. People were hyping this up a little bit, and it was like, this is just Josh Rosen. He was accurate when he was able to step up in a clean pocket. As soon as there was any pressure, it kind of all fell apart. He struggled to move and evade pressure, or he started becoming wildly inaccurate or not sensing the pressure coming towards him. And he would just have to try to spike it towards a player to avoid the grounding penalty. His center also did him no favors, though. There was 5 bad snaps to him.
All right, Josh Rosen's Josh Rosen. Lamar Jackson's Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, they are who we thought we were.
They are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
And we let him off the hook.
Rest in peace.
DJ Foster, TJ Logan were the 3rd and 4th running backs in respectively. Both looked terrible.
Oh.
Foster wasn't able to get more than 3 yards on any carry, and the majority of Logan's plays were negative.
I got to use him in space.
Yeah, they tried to use him between the tackles. It did not go
well. It doesn't
well.
work. He's 160 pounds. He's a 160-pound running back. You can't run him between the tackles.
All right. Kirk was pretty quiet in the passing game. 2 catches on 9 yards on 2 targets. But his only opportunity on a punt return, he took for 45 yards before he tripped himself trying to dodge the punter. It was as funny as it sounds.
for the brand, making plays.
But yeah, the return was excellent. We kind of really saw where that playmaking ability is. I'm pretty excited to see how he develops because at the very least, he should be an excellent punt returner, if not a competent receiver on top of it. All right, that is enough preseason coverage. Let's get to a beer review before we play the game. You're on the clock.
Beer review.
Before we get to the beer, I will say, without Dan here taking games, it feels like we're talking a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I like the sound of my own voice, so that works, but hope everybody else likes the sound of my voice, too.
All right, this is Mosaic IPA India Pale Ale from Community Beer Company out of Dallas, Texas. What'd you think, Hopper?
What'd you guys? You're used to that, aren't
I am
you?
so used to saying that.
What did you guys think? It's good. I mean, it's a single hopped IPA, so you get a lot of the Mosaic, like citrusy up front. You get some of the like earthy finish almost from those on the back end. Overall, it's a smooth drinker, a little bit of hop bitterness to it. I'd call it mild to moderate hop bitterness. It's not major.
Yeah, moderate.
Doesn't kick you in the face. It's definitely there though. But yeah, citrusy on the front end, a little earthy on the back end. Very smooth drink.
Very dry.
Yes, very dry.
Almost
finish.
like a red wine in terms of kind of mouthfeel. Overall, fantastic beer though. I think this set was better. I grabbed 2 6-packs of it. I didn't enjoy it as much in the first set than I do in this set. But maybe I just enjoy beer more when I'm in front of a microphone at this point.
Or with friends.
I'm just conditioned to enjoy it.
How's the Pinot?
On the pod. How's the Pinot?
Well, it's going, and the refrigerator's downstairs, so I guess.
You need to go get some? We can stall for a minute.
Yeah, you didn't sneak out and get more?
You want a refill?
Would you like me to go? Stall,
you-
I can look up some Humpty Dumpty stuff on my way downstairs.
Yeah, we can stall for a minute.
Yeah, it'll take me like 2 seconds.
Okay, go.
All right,
Go.
I
quickly.
feel like I'm really contributing that much anyway.
Well, you're about to be. This segment's like all you, so go.
Yeah. All right, give me a second. I gotta get some wine in my system.
All right, so she's gonna get some wine here.
We don't edit or take breaks, so we're just gonna talk for a minute, I guess.
All right. Well, just shout out to NFFC in general. I brought multiple beers back from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The beer we had down there overall was excellent. I know we shouted out Hopworks Fusion already. That was a fantastic place. Probably one of the best breweries I've ever been to.
Hop Fusion, Real Ale gave us we got a lot of good stuff from them.
From Real Ale, who's the one who I forget who does Blood and Honey. That was a fantastic one I had on tap and brought bottles back.
Yeah.
Just fantastic set of beer down there.
Fantastic tacos, fantastic barbecue, and I think NFFC is going to be a destination trip for a lot of fantasy players going forward, though.
Yep. My only real complaints about it is a lot of the focus was just on people getting autographs of players and not on much on the fantasy side of it. I hope that starts to flip as it grows here. Like, I get that there's people who just love getting player autographs and that's their thing, but I was personally going for all the fantasy stuff, and that's what I was interested in.
I'd like to see more panels, more Q&A, that type of stuff, and Casey's back. But to wrap that up, you can come hang out with all 3 of us next year.
Yep, we will be back.
Oh yeah, come hang out with me. I won't cry.
Yeah. We'll try to avoid certain Cowboys players in bars.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right. Shall we play You're on the Clock?
Nick asks us questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Casey's face is right in front of that drop. Oh, that drop's not there. I should have taken that time to set the drop. Hey, you should talk for another minute, Nick.
Always putting me on the spot. Well, I'll quick explain the game while we're waiting for the drop here. So You're on the Clock is a snake-style draft where it's dating game style, where I'm going to go ahead and read clues from 3 different players at each position. They're going to do a quarterback, a running back 1, a running back 2, wide receiver 1.
Nick asks questions or something.
Found it. Go ahead.
Continuing on, wide receiver 1, 2, 3, and a tight end. There's going to be 3 players to choose from. It's going to be snake style, so we're going to start with Casey for the first clue, and then it'll reverse back to Hopper for clue 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth, until one of them picks a player, and then the other one will have the option of picking the third, and then we're going to build teams off of this. Whoever they leave for me is what my team is. So
I could end up really good, honestly, depending on how you spun these clues.
It could. And the way I did the clues is I did 3 positive for the first 3 clues, and then I did the 2 negative clues as the 4th and 5th clue.
Oh, so we may want to hang around long enough to hear the negative.
You may want to. And I did this all by fantasy football calculator. So, for example, the quarterbacks are all quarterbacks being drafted in the top 12 of ADP.
Cool.
Running back ones are all top 12 running backs, so on and so forth. So there's not a situation you're like, oh, congratulations, your running back one is James Conner or something like that.
All right.
Yeah.
We love James Conner, but I don't want him as a running back one.
Let's go.
All right, so you're on the clock. Starting off with quarterback ones. Casey, you get the first chance to grab one of these three if you'd like. Player A, I've been a quarterback one for 3 of the last 5 seasons. Quarterback 2, I finished as a quarterback one the last 3 seasons, but only one of them was a top 5 finish. And player C, Kirk Cousins.
No.
And I just
That's my guy.
and I already messed with the
Hey,
game.
Casey, do you want Kirk Cousins?
Well, his clue is I've already messed this up. I've thrown for 4,000 yards in half my seasons in the NFL.
I would have probably gotten that one anyway. So
Yeah, probably.
okay, do you want any of those 3? Forgetting who
Player A,
C.
player B, or Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins.
You're taking.
I love me some Kirk Cousins, but no.
Are you taking him or no?
No, I'm not gonna take him.
Okay, to Hopper.
I'll pass. I want to hear the second round of clues.
All right, Hopper, you'll be first up for the second round of clues. Player A, I've thrown for 4,000 yards in 7 straight seasons. Player B, 3 other players on my offense are being drafted in the first 6 rounds of 12-team half-point PPR drafts. And then Kirk Cousins. I finished top 5 twice in my career.
Kirk Cousins.
I think I know who player A is, so I'm going to go ahead and take player A.
Okay, you drafted Matt Ryan.
Oh, did I?
That's all right.
Damn it! Jump the gun. You know who else? Oh, shit.
Matt Ryan.
I was thinking
Isn't
Brady,
he-
but Brady
isn't
only
he
started 12
overrated?
games and only threw for 33.89. Yes, he's overrated. Just ask Jalen Ramsey.
All right.
Can I rage quit yet?
I was hoping you'd draft Matt Ryan. This is a disclaimer. I don't think Matt Ryan should be a top 12 quarterback by FF Calc.
I don't think Matt Ryan should be a top 12 quarterback by anything.
All right, so player B. I have thrown for 5,000 yards during my career in a single season. Kirk Cousins. I have 3 pass catchers being drafted in the top 9 rounds on my team.
It would be Rudolph, Diggs, and Thielen.
I want to go with that second guy.
All right,
Quarterback 2, please.
you drafted Drew Brees.
That's
I
not-
thought it was Drew Brees. All right.
I
take Drew Brees.
figured.
You should have us guess who they are when we take them.
I can do that for future segments as long as I don't mess them up and tell you.
Well, you ended up with Kirk Cousins. Congratulations. I know you love Kirk Cousins.
I would prefer Drew Brees, but it's close.
I would not prefer Matt Ryan, so
Nope.
moving on.
Those are the 3 closest ones I could get in throwing style that were in the back half of quarterback ones, though.
Okay.
All right. This one will start with Hopper. He gets the first chance to grab one of these 3. Player A. I was a top 10 back in receiving yards in 2017. Player B. I had 10 combined rushing and receiving touchdowns in 2017. Player C. I've had multiple seasons with 1,500 plus combined rushing and receiving yards.
Let's go to the next round. I'm not going to jump the gun on this one.
Gonna grab any of those there, Casey?
Do I? How about I do want to grab somebody. How about I grab player A?
You just drafted Melvin Gordon.
It's not bad.
Oh,
Other clues for
someone
him?
just rang the doorbell. I'm sorry, guys.
Go ahead.
You're fine.
The dog.
We don't need you for a minute.
Other clues for him? I've had back-to-back 12 touchdown seasons. My targets have gone up by over 40 over the last 2 seasons. I've only broken 1,000 yards once in my career, and I've been below 4.0 yards per carry for 3 straight years.
All right.
Oof.
All right, last 2 players. Player B. I've had a top 10 finish in fantasy points per game in my career. I've been a top 5 finish in fantasy. I've had a top 5 finish in a single season for fantasy points during my career. And player C, in any season that I've been started, I've averaged 4 yards per carry or better.
Okay, give me the third positive.
Player B, my team led the league in rushing in 2017.
Okay.
Player C, I've had a minimum of 35 receptions for 3 straight years.
Give me player C.
You got Devonta Freeman.
I will gladly take that.
I got Leonard Fournette.
No, damn it, I have 2 Falcons. And I hate Steve Sarkisian. This is not going well for me.
All right. Sorry, let me quick.
One of your wide receiver running back 2s is Tevin Coleman, and one of your wide receiver 1s is Julio Jones, and I end up with them. I'm going to quit.
All Falcons. All stars. All Steve Sarkisian. All right. You're going to start with this one for the running back 2s there, Casey. Player A, I was a top 20 back in full point PPR leagues in 2017. Player B, I broke 1,100 scrimmage yards in 2017. Player C, I've broken 1,000 yards in 2 out of the last 3 seasons, rushing.
I'm going to go ahead and pass and get that next clue.
Yeah, I'll pass.
All right. Clue 2. My situation improved significantly over the offseason. I should be lined for more touches in 2018.
Okay.
Player B, I've never had a season below 4 yards a carry in my career. Player C, I've had multiple running back 1 seasons.
Give me player C.
You got LaShawn McCoy.
Gladly. Oh, that's a good pair with Devonta Freeman. And it's not a Falcon, so we're doing...
It's not a Falcon.
It's not a Falcon. Now,
Falcon punch.
I would like to do that to some Falcons.
Right.
Not the birds.
All right,
that would
Casey,
be cruel.
you have 1 of 2 players left. Player A, I've had over 200 touches in back-to-back seasons. Player B, I'm expected to be the full-on starter in 2018 with no significant competition.
Let me go with B.
All right, you drafted Alex Collins.
Okay.
Not the worst RB2. He's pretty good for a runner. I would take him as my RB2.
And I got Jerick McKinnon.
I would also take that,
Okay.
but yeah, I would take him between the 2.
All right.
All right.
For finishing up for McKinnon, on the other hand, I've never broken 250 touches in a season. I've also never broken 1,000 total scrimmage yards. For Collins, I finished with less than 25 receptions the last 2 seasons, and I fumbled 6 times in my last 279 touches. And for McCoy, I had the lowest yards per carry of my career in 2017. My offense is expected to be worse in 2018 than it was in 2017.
Okay.
So this is kind of an exercise in how you can spin positive and negative on any player, too.
I still would have taken McCoy out of these 3, so.
Yeah, I would have too.
Yeah, I would have gone McCoy, McKinnon, Collins.
That's exactly how I would have done it, was McCoy, McKinnon, Collins.
All right, Hopper, you start off for the wide receiver 1s.
Let's go.
Player A, I've averaged 6 receptions a game during my career.
Okay.
Player B, I've broken 1,000 yards in all but 1 season of my career.
Okay.
Player C, I've been top 12 in points per game for back-to-back seasons.
You know what? I'm going to jump early. I'm going to take player C.
You got Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
I was about to say he's not B.
No, and Devontae Adams, I think, has top 5 wide receiver potential. So the only thing I don't like right now is my quarterback.
So the other notes on Devontae Adams, I've had 10-plus touchdowns twice in my career. I've been over 115 targets in back-to-back seasons. On the downside, I've never broken 175 catches, and I've never broken 1,000 yards.
Because he was the 2.
All right.
Yeah, or playing with Brett Hundley.
All right. You've got 2 players left there, Casey. Player A, I've had at least 1 top 5 wide receiver season in my career. Player B, I've had at least 1 50-plus yard touchdown in every single season of my career.
Okay, I definitely wouldn't want player B. Sounds a little boom busty to me.
It's hard. How about I think I will go with player A on this one.
You don't have to. You don't have to pick now, but
I want to. I want to see if the second guy is boom busty. Like
okay. Player A is Keenan Allen.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Player B is AJ Green.
Okay,
yeah, I don't like.
Not quite boom busty, but he would be. I would probably. It's close between him and Adams. It's close between all 3 of these guys. Actually, I wouldn't have hated any of them.
I definitely didn't want to do the whole screw you style, so they're all ranked pretty close in most situations. Why does it'll
get? I would have done it screw you style. That would have been fun. I would have done it screw you style.
All right.
Yeah, because I think in the real dating game, don't they have like one guy that's like
terrible,
total, like doesn't have a job and like doesn't shower or something.
Yeah.
All right. Other notes on Keenan Allen: I've never caught below 63% of my targets. I've only had more than 4 touchdowns twice in my career.
Where's the injury notes?
I've had 2 seasons with 8 games played or less.
There you go.
That's fluky. That's fluky.
Waiting for that.
For AJ Green, 2017 was the worst. Or I'm sorry, his third note was I've been top 12 by points per game for 3 straight seasons. 2017 was the worst year of my career in terms of yards per game and catch rate, and I've hit the terrible milestone of being 30 years old.
Yeah, so have you, though.
I know. We can commiserate together. Wide receiver 2s. Casey, you kick us off on this one. Player A, I've been a wide receiver 1 for the last 3 seasons. Player B, I finished top 20 3 of the last 4 seasons. And player C, I finished as a wide receiver 1 twice in my career.
All right. So we can deduce that there's no second-year players here.
You can, yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and pass on that.
Yeah, let's go to clue 2.
All right, clue 2. Hopper, you get the first eye on this one. Player A, I have 3 straight 1,000-plus yard seasons.
Okay.
Player B, 4 straight seasons of 120-plus targets.
Okay.
Player C, I've had at least 94 targets in every season outside of my rookie year.
I was going to, go to clue 3 for me.
Casey, do you want to grab one of these before we go to clue 3?
Nope, go to clue 3 on this one.
I think
All
I know
right.
what I want, though.
Player A, at least 7 touchdowns in every season I've played all 16 games. Player B, broken 1,000 yards 3 times in my career.
Okay.
Player C, I've scored 7 or more touchdowns 3 times in my career. In case you get first grab on this one.
Dang. Okay, there's 2 that I'm debating. Let's see.
There's 2 I'm debating between also.
Maybe I'll.
But I'm pretty sure I know who one of them is.
Let me go with 3.
Player C?
Player C.
You just drafted Alshon Jeffrey.
Yikes.
Yikes! I did that in real life too. Because I drafted too early.
Hey, he might be fine, as we discussed in the news.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
All right.
We'll see what happens.
Can I get the rest of the notes on player B, please?
All right.
Since I'm not playing with anybody else right now.
I'll read them through step by step here. So player A, my targets, receptions, touchdowns have dropped for 3 straight years. Player B, 2017 is my lowest volume season for both targets and yards in 4 seasons.
Okay.
Player A, I can be a bit hot and cold with 3 games over 20 fantasy points and 3 games below 5. Player B, I did just celebrate my 30th birthday.
Give me player B.
Golden Tate.
Golden Tate.
I knew who that was when you gave me
that was my other one.
Do you know who player A is?
Is it Cooks?
It is Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, that was my fear when you started breathing those off. Tate I knew because I'd made the 120 target and 3 seasons over 1,000-yard note myself a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, I just wrote about him yesterday.
Yeah, so I knew that one, and then Cooks, it just when you said the hot cold thing, it sealed that one for me. But I also just kind of knew.
All right, so I end up with Brandon Cooks on that one. On to the wide receiver 3s. Hopper, you'll kick us off on this one. Player A, I finished as a top 20 wide receiver 3 times in my career.
Okay.
Player B, I've had 8+ touchdowns in a season twice in my career. Player C, I've averaged 8.2 targets a game over the last 5 seasons.
Let's go to clue 2.
Player A, I've caught 8+ touchdowns multiple times in my career.
Casey,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Casey, a chance to take one of those.
Sorry. She technically would get first denial after the clue anyway. So, do you want to grab one now, or do you want to wait for the clue?
I want to wait for the clue.
All right. So, player
Worst
A,
game show host ever.
it's my first episode, my first day. I've caught 8+ touchdowns multiple times in my career for player A. For player B, I finished as a top 20 receiver once in my career. Player C, I've had 3 straight seasons with over 1,000 yards during my career.
Oh. Well, let's see.
Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Can I get C?
Son of a...
You just drafted Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh.
Yes!
Never mind.
I'm okay with that.
I'm
Guys,
good.
that's the happiest I've been about anybody that I've drafted.
I'm good. I thank you for saving me from that. I don't hate Emmanuel Sanders. I think he's going to have a bounce-back season, but...
Did you want to grab someone, or you want to hear more clues?
Give me more clues. I need to know more about A and B.
All right. Player A, for the last 4 seasons, I've gotten 100+ targets.
Okay.
Player B, my catch rate has never been below 50%.
Well, I'd hope if you're a wide receiver.
It's not Devin Funchess.
Was that the best you could go? Is it Kelvin Benjamin?
He's also been below 50.
Okay. Anyway.
All right. Clue 4. My targets and yards were down significantly in 2017 from the previous 2 seasons.
Okay.
Player B. I've only broken 1,000 yards in a season 1 time.
Give me player A.
You got Michael Crabtree.
I'm okay with that, especially in Baltimore.
I got Sammy Watkins.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with Crabtree out of that one. All of this feels gross, honestly. All 3 of those felt a little gross to me.
They're wide receiver 3s.
Like, where's Cooper Kupp?
Right.
Remember, I was looking for 3 that profiled at least somewhat similarly to
Right.
make the game.
No, they did. Those are 3 very similar profiles.
All right. And the last player.
We're not doing kickers?
We are not doing kickers.
Damn.
Tight ends.
Oh, no. That's my favorite.
All right. Player A. I had a stretch of 5 straight top 10 finishes in my career. Player B. I had 3 seasons in my career with 7+ touchdowns. Player C. I've had over 100 targets 4 times in my career.
Okay.
Well,
Who's first?
Casey's first.
you know what? Let Hop go ahead and try to figure this out.
Hop's going to say go to the next clue because I'm pretty sure I know who 2 of these are, and one of them's... Yeah.
Player A. I've had 60+ receptions 6 times in my career.
Okay.
Player B. I finished top 12 for the last 2 seasons. Player C. 4 straight seasons, over 800 yards receiving.
Give me C just because I'm not so concerned here.
You took Delaney Walker.
I know I took Delaney Walker.
No!
I knew I took Delaney Walker.
You took Gimpto himself.
I did. And that's why I said give me him because we don't know the toe injury yet. But yeah, I knew that was Delaney Walker when you hit the 800 yards. I thought it was him when you hit the 100 targets because I also made that note 2 episodes ago. But
Hey, there's only so many notes you can pick up about a player, so if you've deep dove them, you kind of pick some of these up.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to hear more clues before you grab, or are you going to go ahead and grab one, Casey?
Let me hear more clues on these tight ends.
All right. Clue 3 on player A. I've averaged 7.2 targets a game over the last 6 seasons. Player B. My catch rate's never been below 57%.
Kind of low for a tight end.
Player A.
You want to give me more clues? Yes.
All right. I've been below
Also,
5. I've been below 5 touchdowns in 2 straight seasons. Player B. I've only broken 100 targets once in my career. And then,
That's so gross.
And then last clue. 2017 was my first year below a 50% catch rate for player A. For player B, I've only broken 500 yards twice in my career.
Give me player A.
You drafted Greg Olson.
That's who I thought it was. Jeez, Steve. Sorry, Steve, who writes over at Fighting Chance Fantasy, is in love with him, and I am like on the opposite spectrum.
I am not on the opposite spectrum with Olsen. I think he has a good year.
Do you know who player B is?
Can you read the clues to me again?
Yeah, read him again.
I had 3 seasons with 7+ touchdowns. I finished top 12 for 2 straight seasons. My catch rate has never been below 57%. I've only broken 100 targets once, and I've only broken 500 yards twice.
Kyle Rudolph?
It is Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah.
I thought about that. But
All right, I
thought you were going to try to kick a Jordan Reed in there someplace, and I was trying desperately to avoid it. So as soon as I knew where Delaney
Jordan
Walker
Reed
was.
and Vernon Davis, please. Thanks.
All right, so let's read off the teams here. Hopper has Matt Ryan,
Gross.
Devonta Freeman, LaShawn McCoy, Devonta Adams, Golden Tate, Michael Crabtree, and Delaney Walker. Casey's got Drew Brees, Melvin Gordon, Alex Collins, Keenan Allen, Alshon Jeffrey, Emmanuel Sanders, and Greg Olson. And then I finish it up with Kirk Cousins, Leonard Fournette, Jerick McKinnon, A.J. Green, Brandon Cooks, Sammy Watkins, and Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, your team ended up pretty okay.
Yeah.
I would be a lot happier with mine if I didn't have Matt Ryan as my quarterback.
If you had Cousins or Breeze, you'd be in much better
If I had
shape.
Cousins or Breeze, and really I was just being nice to you by not taking Cousins. Of course, I also thought Matt Ryan was Tom Brady because I forgot he only played 12 games and only threw for 3,800 yards that year.
You got all excited with the 4,007 straight.
Yeah, because outside of the suspension season, you know, Brady's consistently over 4,000 yards.
He definitely is.
I just looked at this for that weirdo league I'm doing.
All right, so this is a fun segment. I just wanted to quick do this as a kind of a fun game we could play with the guest jumping on. So thank you for doing that, Casey. And then overall, it was just kind of it was a fun way of being able to show that you can do positive and negative notes about pretty much any player.
And put a spin on it.
And put a spin on it.
AKA the Bilal Powell rule.
The Bilal Powell rule.
For those of you not familiar with the Bilal Powell rule, Casey, I'll explain it to you. Early on last year when we first started doing this, I started to read off my notes on Bilal Powell. And I think I had it spun as I was reading it like I liked him.
Yep.
I think.
But you had him down as a bust.
Yeah, but then Nick was like, oh, you had him as a bust because I didn't have the notes in front of me. So I just completely spin zoned and used the same stats to paint him in a negative light. Like I lawyered it, so.
Politician did, I think is what we called it at the time.
Yeah, politicking it. So it's a Bilal Powell rule that numbers can really paint whatever story you want to make them paint.
All right, so hope you guys found that useful and learned a couple stats there. Anything else we want to add before we start signing out here?
No. Thank you so much, Casey, for joining us. It was fun. I'm glad we got to talk to you again. Can't wait to see it in FFC next year. If you're listening, be sure to check her out, and we'll have her on again, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. May not be in season because that's always a nightmare, but at some point in the off season, she'll be on again. So please keep an eye on us all year. Remember, we are a full year-round podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at BeerFueledFF. That's also where you can find us on Instagram and Untapped. We've actually started getting a decent following on Untapped. We're about to 20 people following us now, which is nice. Beer Fueled Fantasy Football is our Facebook and YouTube location if you want to check us out there. You can see all of Casey's Instagram and everything is on that window if you check us out on YouTube, I believe.
Her Twitter handle is.
Yeah, Twitter handle and stuff. So that's awesome there. Casey, give us one last shout out for where they can find you.
Okay. Before I do that, real quick, I want to say that Humpty Dumpty, he was never referred to as an egg. Mm-hmm. And historical evidence actually suggests that Humpty Dumpty was actually a cannon used by the Royalists during the English Civil War.
Oh, look at my nursery rhyme knowledge.
So anyway, with that, I'm Kacey Kasem at the Kacey Kasem, KACEY, and you can find me writing for Fighting Champs Fantasy.
All right. Well, thank you so much for jumping on. Individually, we got Christopher Hopper here.
At Hot BFF with 2 P's. Follow me for all of your fairy tale knowledge.
Dealing with the Great White North is Dan Thury. He is at ThuryBFF. If you want to follow him on Twitter and give him crap for not showing up on the episode, you can follow me at Nick Sparts, and we will catch you guys next time.
Oh, wait. Next time on Beer Fueled Fantasy Football.
Later.
See ya.